everybody, and welcome to another brand new edition of T Watches a Scary Movie. My name is T, and of course, we are talking scary movies. I appreciate y'all tuning in for another brand new review. Remember, new episodes always go up every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on the YouTube page for the video version. But because I put up so many other reviews throughout the week, you're going to want to make sure you subscribe to my link tree, which is the best way to stay up to date with all the reviews that I'm dropping for all you guys. And the best way to access that is go to linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. If you get subscribed to the link tree, not only will that give you access to the YouTube page for the video versions of the show, but to your favorite podcasting platforms for the audio only versions, along with access to my TikTok page for my horror videos and to my Letterboxd page for my written reviews as well. And again, as I do multiple reviews throughout the week, you're gonna want to make sure you get subscribed now. So hit that subscribe button right now, folks, so you stay up to date with everything that I'm putting out there for you guys. So what do I have up for you tonight? Well, this month I've tried to plan out a nice little schedule of classics, both new and old, some of which that I got a chance to watch a while back and have not watched since. And the movie I'm talking about tonight, Vacancy, is one of those films. This is one I got a chance to check out back in 2007 when I was working at Blockbuster Video, and I haven't really given it the time of day since then, so I thought, considering everything that I'm discussing this month, this would be a good one to get back around to, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So here we go, folks. Let's talk some Vacancy. So I thought it'd be a good idea to jump back into this one because we're now getting the trailer for The Strangers Chapter 1, the first of 3 films in the new Strangers trilogy that's being released by Rennie Harlan, which is pretty exciting because while I am not the biggest fan of the first Strangers movie, I love The Strangers Prey at Night. I think there's more to be told in this world, and while the trailer so far doesn't have me so excited because it seems like it is drawing way more from the first movie than the second one, we're going to give everything a shot. But that made me think that I really needed to go back and give Vacancy another chance, because when I worked at Blockbuster back in 2007, and those of y'all who worked at Blockbuster can attest to this as well too, one of the few perks you get for working at Blockbuster Video is that you get to rent movies a week or two earlier than when they actually hit the release date, because we always get the movies in 1 week, sometimes 2 weeks, and in very rare occasion 3 weeks earlier than what they're supposed to come out, and we're supposed to get them ready for like rental and sale and everything. And I remember Vacancy came in not too long after I had started my job there, because I had started at Blockbuster Video back in either March or April of 2007, and I know that Vacancy hit the market not too long after that. I don't remember the exact release date. I want to say it was sometime that summer, but it wasn't too long after I got in there. And it's not one I caught in theaters, but I wanted to check it out regardless. And as I've said many times to y'all on this show, that period was a very jaded period for me, because up to that point, I had a very preconceived notion about what horror movies are and what they were supposed to be. And so there were a lot of ones that were going not even under the radar that I checked out that I just wasn't really vibing with. And Vacancy was one of those ones I just wasn't really feeling all too much, honestly. You know, we had films like The Descent out recently, we had Hostel out, we had Saw, and this just wasn't really hitting with me well. It didn't seem scary. And back in 2007, I was looking to be scared. I wasn't looking for, brutal, violent, psychological thrillers. I was looking for serial killers, for monsters, all the stuff I had grown up with. And so I didn't really like anything else that was coming out. So I saw this, didn't really keep track of it too much in my head, and I've only seen bits and pieces since then. And it sucks because the director of this film, Nimrod Atal, has done films that I've really enjoyed, honestly. Predators, which is a fantastic addition to the Predators franchise. Armored, which is amazing as well too. Very good ensemble cast there in that one. If you haven't seen it, about a group of armored truck workers who have to secure a fortune. It's pretty good. Go check it out if you haven't. But this is one that I wanted to come back to because, again, with The Strangers Chapter 1 coming out, I thought it would fit perfectly. So for those of y'all who have never seen this film before, Vacancy tells the story of David and Amy Fox, a couple who are on the verge of divorce. course, whose car breaks down on the way home, and they find themselves having to take a free room at a random motel they encounter in the middle of nowhere. But unfortunately for David and Amy, they find out that this motel is being used to make snuff films and that they are the next subjects to be taped. The premise itself, very, very simple, honestly. We don't need a lot of twists and turns from this one. An unfortunate couple ends up in the wrong place in the wrong time, and just because they happen to be there, they, of course, are targeted. Does that sound familiar? Because that is what The Strangers ultimately was that this couple, who is potentially on the verge of being done, end up at a secluded home in the middle of nowhere, and they are targeted by a group of sadistic individuals just because they were home. This movie is absolutely a precursor to The Strangers for sure, and that is exactly why it's fitting. And what's very, very nice about this film is that it's so straightforward. Sometimes in horror, we don't need twists and turns. We don't need to be surprised. We don't need to be kept guessing. Sometimes just putting people into drastic environments where their lives are at stake is more than enough to keep you entertained. And honestly, I think Vacancy does a really, really good job with that, because through both David and Amy, we see that David obviously is very short-tempered. He's very easily agitated, and he doesn't really want to listen to reason from anybody else. And Amy is actually the voice of reason in a lot of the situations encountered throughout the course of this film, because regardless of the issues that David and Amy have had leading up to these moments in this film, we can see that Amy is still actually fairly level-headed and fairly intelligent about the situation that her and David are in, and about some of the choices they're making. She calls it out multiple times throughout the film about things that they shouldn't be doing and other plans of action they should be taking. And it's very, very intriguing to see that in a horror film in the mid-2000s, because, you know, that's something that has evolved more and more and more in today's horror, is that we're getting more smart protagonists who know what the deal is, and they're audibly voicing that. And usually we're going to get that kind of stuff like in a very self-aware meta slasher horror film, and this is not that at all. So it's kind of refreshing to get that kind of dialogue and to get pushed off for a logical reason that the main character, or one of the main characters, excuse me, because it is a co-lead film, but that one of the main characters is just a dick, and so he's not willing to listen to that information, and it obviously causes them even more problems as this film goes on. And Luke Wilson and Kate Beckinsale make for a really, really great duo in this, honestly. Now, Kate Beckinsale, we know she has a history here in the horror genre as well. Obviously, she's done stuff like the Underworld movies, which at that time, like, that is exactly why her career was like as big as it was then as well too. She's just coming off the success of a few of those. She had done like Van Helsing. And so this was like, this was another way of her stepping away from like that franchise and making a big name for herself, even though she had been around for a while. But I guess making a name that doesn't have to be established next to a franchise like that. That's a very pop summer heavy action like franchise feature, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not a fan of the Underworld series, but I know a lot of you are. But either way, it was a good attempt for her. And Luke Wilson, who didn't really have much background in the horror genre except for playing a key role as he was cast as Billy Loomis in Scream 2, which I think is fantastic in the Stab movies. And he had done the film Soul Survivors as well, but this was really kind of like the first big like lead role in a horror film for him. So it's a duo you wouldn't really expect to see in a film like this, but they do a fantastic job with it. And I think also that it very much made it more of the norm to get these top A-list actors who are taking these roles not in the typical kind of stereotypical roles you would see in this film, because this would typically be, to be frank, and I'm not trying to make it about their age, but this would be a much younger couple if we were going to do this at a certain period of time. Like I'd say in today's world, we would get this with 20-somethings as opposed to what we see from Luke Wilson and Kate Beckinsale. So I think it's perfect because it shows us a different set of characters we might not normally see in a film like this. And again, because we don't have to worry that much about the mythology of this film at all. Yes, there's a second Vacancy film, but it's actually a prequel. And the writer of this film, Markel Smith, I believe is his name, came back to write and direct that second film. So clearly he had a mythology planned out, but for the one film that we get, it's a very, very nice self-sustaining film here, to where it's very straight. These people end up at a motel they don't need to be, and they're being attacked by these folks looking to make this snuff film. And the thing is that we don't get a lot of victims at all, honestly, because this is not what that's about. We're not spending multiple days or nights in this motel. They just happen to be the wrong place, the wrong time, and it's about them getting out. And I think that it's played as realistically as it can be, because unlike The Strangers, to where I feel that our characters in that film, they're very, very much they're outmatched for what they're facing against their three antagonists of that film. Here in Vacancy, I do feel that there are periods that are set up to where the captors, our antagonists of this film, are just as ill-suited for the situation as our protagonists are as well, too. So it keeps the power balance there kind of equal throughout most of that film. Like, they're not geniuses by any means that are holding this out. And that's kind of one of the biggest problems of the movie as well, too, is that the implication is that these guys have been doing this for quite a while. But a lot of the plot points don't stack up with that. Like, there's a lot of tapes that they've been doing this, but they don't run credit cards. And the cops mysteriously haven't really shown up for anybody missing or anything weirdly enough going down at this point either. Like, it just seems that this is a very... this is not the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where we're living decades and decades ago, and things like this are going on, and there's no way that anybody would know. This is still very much the modern world at that point, and it just doesn't make sense with some of the inconsistencies of how these guys who are running this motel are keeping things going, that nobody has found them out yet, and that makes the movie suffer a bit. And I know we're talking about believability here, but it's hard to reconcile that point with what the film sets up, that these guys are brutal killers who have gotten away with this no matter who has shown up at their motel, and that's a bit of a hard piece to overcome. That said, I was clearly wrong with my initial opinions of this film. This is definitely one that you're going to want to check out here for yourselves, and it's available to watch right now for free on Stars if you have it. So go check that out. Let me know in the comment section what you think of Vacancy, and if I hear enough about it, maybe I'll get a chance to check out Vacancy 2, The First Cut, which is one I have not seen myself yet. But hey, if there's enough interest, I will check that one out there for y'all. So hit that like button. Let me know in the comment section what you think of the first Vacancy, and make sure to hit subscribe as well too, because I got more great reviews coming for y'all. But that's it for tonight. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared. Hey everybody, looking for a great way to stay up to date on horror news, as well as read the best of articles on anything scary out in the world right now? Then you need to head over to the Fangoria shop and get yourself a subscription. If you go to shop.fangoria.com/AXDEW, you can use my own personalized 20% discount to save 20% off on Fangoria magazine subscriptions, as well as 20% off any other items in their fantastic shop. This is a great deal. If you've ever been wanting to get yourself a subscription, now is the time to do so. Head to shop.fangoria.com/AXDEW.